Alright, it's finally not absolutely freezing out here, and I can stand out here and be somewhat more comfortable. I think it's only about -5 today, so perfect time to try to get back working on this car. Now, I really want to do is polish this thing, because it's going to come out amazing. You can see a spot that I tested right there, and I'm gonna make a video on that. I'm not sure if that video will come out before this video, but I want to see if I can get these brakes working again. So what I'm going to do is air up these tires so I can actually stick a jack underneath the car, and I'm going to pull off these rear wheels. Now, this truck here needs a fair bit of work as well, so drop a comment down below if you guys want to see some work on this, because in between doing work on this car, I could flip and do a little bit of work on this. And I've aired these tires up before, so I'm hoping I can air them up a little bit. I'm not going to go like 30 psi, but a little bit more air than flat will be okay. Now, typically, I don't like working in gravel, but the fact that it's peak winter right now, the ground is as solid as pavement. Oh, don't want to lose our coffee there. Had some people in the comments in the last video, because what I'm debating is, do we put in a V8 into this car, or do we leave this car completely stock? This car is one of the only cars I've gotten that is complete and is all original. That's rare for me. The only thing I might change is by changing the wheels and the tires, but at the same time I kind of like these wheels and tires. I have an idea of how I can make them look really good, but I'm leaving that for a later day right now. But it would need tires because these are only 14s. So I was thinking about getting a different set of wheels that are 16s, but that's besides the fact. I really was thinking about doing an 350 small block with a manual transmission, or doing a junkyard LS like a 5.3 with manual transmission, because I really want a manual transmission in this car. But this car has an automatic, and to swap a manual transmission that's for this engine and stuff, we're looking at over $2,000. I don't know. Or do we leave it all stock and save that project for a different car? Oops. All right. This is the only one I've seen so far that's had a rubber cap on the end of the bleeder. Let's bring you guys in closer here. That's what we're looking for. And it's pretty rough, this side. But I can see the threads. And the other side was rough too. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to get my torch. What we're going to do is put this like this to stop some of the flame from traveling around everywhere. And now I'm going to heat the caliper up the best that I can. Maybe I'll make this flame a bit smaller. And this side's crusty too. I'm just looking at like the control arms are so rusty, and that rear sway bar, the diff bushings. Let's try that. That's pretty hot. We'll take some PB Blaster and take a pair of vice grips. I think we got it, folks. I think we got it. This bleeder here is pretty crusty, and some people would say, "I'll just replace it." Well, I could, because I do have a new one for it. But it's inside the new truck, and then I gotta get the keys and unlock it and stuff. So I'm gonna be lazy, and I'm gonna take a piece of welding wire here, and I'm gonna just shove it into the bleeder hole here. And I'm gonna clean all the gunk out of it. But again, oh, looks like we got fluid coming out. Yep. What I'm gonna do is try to compress that caliper back, and I think this is the same setup as the front. Yeah, it is. So then I'm going to try to pull the caliper off, which we have fluid coming out of it, which is a good sign. But I'm going to try to pull the caliper off. Oh shit, that doesn't even fit. I need to get a ratchet or a wrench. Ready? We are back. So like I said before, this is purely for entertainment. We will get new brake rotors and calipers, or not calipers, but what you call it? Brake pads. We're gonna get new brake pads to replace everything. What we're trying to do right now is see if this car can function as a car, and then when it does function as a car, and we've saved up some money, because let's be real, we don't have money like some of these YouTubers do. Oh my gosh, look at this. Have you guys seen this? Crappy design. I decided I would take the caliper bracket off because I'm gonna have to anyway, just to do the brake pads when it comes time. So I just had to heat up this bolt so much and hammer this socket on to get it out. Not very happy, so time to do the top. Pro tip, if you are heating up stuff like this and you got some faded old plastic, just yeah, it's almost like new. You look at that. Like brand new. Alright, so we got those bolts out. We're gonna end up having to replace this hardware. See, this is the stuff that why I'm doing this early is because now I know I'm gonna need new bolts. Now imagine I ordered all the brakes and didn't need new bolts, or didn't know I needed new bolts. So then I'm putting everything back with junk. So there's that. The e-brake, well, it's not e-braking anymore. It's still in place. The shoes are bad, but I'm gonna leave that for now. Everything else is pretty decent. Got that bolt out, and here's the rotor, and I'm gonna take a wire wheel to this rotor and just clean up some of this junk on. Well, I feel so dumb none of this was recording. So there's the wire wheel onto the rotor. You can see all that pitting in there. It's great for it, but at least it's not rusty as much. So we're gonna clean that up, slap it back in the car, and then probably do the other side, and then try to bleed out the rear brakes. Just like that. Oh my gosh, it's almost like we got brand new brake pads, or brand new brakes. Now, the caliper bracket I have lost, and I just found it again. So I'm not going to bother cleaning this thing up right now. A lot of people are going to say, why are you using wheel bearing grease? I use wheel bearing grease sometimes for brake components like this. Now, typically for this piece here, I would use anti-seize, but I'm not going to get my anti-seize right now. And this is going to be perfectly fine because I am going to replace this hardware. So this is just mainly so that this still works for now, and I don't have to deal with the same issue I just dealt with trying to take this whole thing apart, because that would suck. So for our sake and what we're doing, it doesn't matter. Slide the caliper back on. And there we go. That other side probably still has air in it. Alrighty guys, I'm a little bit lost right now because both sides, you saw the fluid coming out of the caliper. Pretty decent pressure coming out of it, but there's still zero pressure on the pedal. The pedal still goes straight to the floor, and even if you hold it straight to the floor, I can still wiggle everything, which means the caliper isn't moving, right? But I would figured if, say the caliper was seized in the open position, if there was pressure in the line still, you should still feel it on the brake pedal. And I figured if I bled the rear brakes, I should at least feel a little bit of brake pressure on the pedal, not it just going straight to the floor. So I'm leaning toward either the master cylinder is bad and it's moving fluid but not creating pressure, because the master cylinder was dry. I can't see any leaks anywhere. I am genuinely lost at this point. I have bled all 4 calipers, all 4 move fluid perfectly fine. You can see this is all fluid from this brake, and I just put a stick pressing the pedal all the way down because it goes straight to the floor, and there's no brake movement at all. Hey, look how much fluid came out. This shot all the way up to here, and still no brake pressure. Now I have no idea what that little plug is there, but for the hell of it, I'm just gonna pop it out and see if fluid comes out. But I mean, like, there's gotta be air like trapped inside the master or something. And like typically I would say try to bleed the master out, but I figured usually you can just bleed the brakes and it's fine. So I'm not sure. The Le Mans kind of had the same deal where I had no brake pressure, but fluid was coming out, and I changed the master and it was perfectly fine. All right, so I unscrewed that little plug right there, and all that really did was drain what was in the master. So, I mean, if there's any debris or anything, I guess like technically I probably could have like pushed the brake pedal down and opened that up or something. Like, I'm not exactly sure, but I sprayed PB Blaster on these lines because I'm figuring I'm gonna have to take them out anyway. But yeah, I didn't really do much, so kind of a waste. Well, I think I'm officially giving up on this for today anyway. Or this is going to be the end of the video. If anybody has any suggestions on what could be causing this issue, I just tried to bleed the master, and I had fluid coming out of the master just fine as well. And I tried to re-bleed the calipers again, and I got good fluid coming out of the calipers. I just have absolutely zero brake pressure. The pedal would just go straight to the floor. It doesn't even lock the calipers up. It just nothing, but fluid comes shooting out of the calipers perfectly fine. So I've never had this issue before. So if anybody knows, drop it down below, and we'll see you next time.